enhanced option elementary school, which is a powerful success story here in Nashville. Napier used to be one of Metro's most challenged schools. It was on the state's priority list. But thanks to a determined principal and community, that is no longer the story. Here at Napier, the narrative has changed. And progress like Napier is happening in many schools across our district right now. And yet, we still have a huge issue hurting too many of our schools and holding our city back. That issue is racial inequality and a related equity gap in Nashville schools. But we haven't been talking about our challenges the way we should. So it's time for all of us to have the courage to speak some hard truths about where we are and where we need to go. The great majority of our third graders cannot read on grade level. Far too many of our high school students are not prepared for post-secondary education. In too many neighborhoods, our teachers are under-supported, and many of our parents and their children are trapped in struggling schools. That's on us. That's on me. It's on the school board. It's on the business community. It's, excuse me, it's on everyone who calls our city home. As a community, we haven't been living up to our values. There is no doubt that Nashvillians want education to be the #1 priority of our city, and our budget, which includes more than 40% of every dollar going to schools, says that it is. And yet, we're not getting the results that we need. We're failing too many of our children and families, especially people of color. And a lot of that comes down to leadership. Leaders, whether they're elected or appointed, have to lead. When I took office last year, I had to stabilize the city's budget pretty quickly. And that required some hard choices. Choices that not everyone in our town agreed with. But I believed were in the best interest of the city. Leadership also means working to build consensus, if not unanimous approval. And it means being willing to accept when you've been on the losing side and being willing to move on so that all sides can move forward together for the sake of bigger goals. Frankly, we haven't seen enough of that from our elected school board members. Instead, this is a fractured group that too often deliberates in secret, that can be quicker to tweet and post to Facebook than lead. And they cannot consistently honor their own policy, which requires, yes, requires, all board members to get behind any majority decision they make. There's no harder job in Nashville than the director of schools, and no one's going to do that job perfectly. I may be out on a limb here, but I think Dr. Joseph, too, would say that with the benefit of hindsight, he might have made a few different decisions. But we need to praise Dr. Joseph for challenging this city to make equity in our schools a priority. That focus is going to be one of the keys to Nashville's success. It's also true that sometimes the resources haven't matched up to Dr. Joseph's vision. Dr. Joseph is right that we need to stop criminalizing students who act out in the classroom, but we also need to make sure teachers have the support they need to manage classrooms so they can keep the teaching and learning on track. Dr. Joseph is also right to prioritize social-emotional learning and to ensure that funding is reaching the most needy schools and children. And he has made literacy a focus since day one. Now, going back to 1970, when I first enrolled in a metro school, our city has not been able to reach a common understanding on race, and we continue to struggle with that issue. Let me be clear. I am not calling anyone a racist. Excuse me, allergies. And I know that most people in leadership have good intention and good hearts. But you can have a good heart and still fail to see the heart of the matter. Some of our school board members have not acknowledged why their actions are seen through a racial lens. They've failed to acknowledge the legacy of racism and the legacy of systemic racism in Nashville, the legacy of inequality that this city is still trying to overcome today. There's a history here that we all need to understand. We can't ignore it. So, what are we going to do? Or you probably are thinking, what are you, as mayor, going to do? State law and the Metro Charter put some significant limitations on what I can do when it comes to public education. I can recommend how much the district should get financially, but I can't say how it's going to be spent. Despite these limitations, I will use all my legal authority to influence the direction of the school board from this day forward. And I will use my voice and my ability to bring people together, and I assure you that I'm going to be very, very involved in how our school district operates. Specifically, I have informed Dr. Sharon Gentry, the chair of the school board, that my administration must and will be involved moving forward in operations, finances, and human resources, and certainly how the board searches for any new schools director, first for an interim and then a more permanent leader. And there will be some strings attached to any new funding the district receives. The school board will have to follow open meetings laws, which they have routinely violated in the past months. They will have to follow their own rules and stop name-calling and fueling social media disputes. Our city's expectation is for growth, not grandstanding. The school board is going to have to get its house in order, because when it's dysfunctional, it affects the entire city. I've already gotten involved to help our priority schools improve, because the children in those schools don't have time to waste. Their future depends on quality schools. So I've assembled a group of teachers, administrators, advocates, parents to study the issues, look at the data, and make recommendations. Dr. Watisha Lawless, the principal here at Napier, is a member of that group. Dr. Lawless has shown how to be an effective leader and turn a school around. And she's done that by bringing the community together and increasing community investment. Dr. Lawless, thank you for your work and for hosting us here today. Thank you very much. You'll hear more from me in my coming weeks about the plans to help the school board and the district so they can achieve all they want. Schools that help all Nashville's children succeed. The Napier story can be repeated. Every school can deliver on the promise of a good education. I know it can happen. I know in Nashville what we are capable of. I know we're ready to do right by our kids. And I intend to use my position and influence and the office of the mayor to keep charting a path forward for our schools. Every child in Nashville, yes, every child in Nashville deserves a school board with his or her best interests in mind. Teachers who are supported and paid what they deserve, evidence-based teaching and social emotional learning support, and a culture of trust and empowerment. And when our hardworking teachers, principals, support staff, and central office staff come to work every day because they believe in helping our children succeed, they deserve a strong, unified school board as well. I believe this is the school board's last chance. It's their last chance to be a positive change agent that will make a difference in our children's lives. Their last chance to get it right. The school board in the next few weeks will have an opportunity to answer this call to leadership. They'll have a chance to find a way to do right by our children, our community, and our city's future by being a positive force for good. The city of Nashville demands more from its Board of Education. I'll take a few questions.
Do you support Dr. Joseph and his leadership role?
Dr. Joseph has made clear that he does not intend to extend his contract beyond its current duration. And I think it's also clear that they are having discussions about how to mutually end the relationship. I support Dr. Joseph in his efforts here. I by no means blame him for the circumstances that were here when he arrived, and I wish him all the best, and I remain supportive of Dr. Joseph.
When you're talking about the criticism then of the school board, you're separating Dr. Joseph from the school board members, or do you view them as a whole?
I'm speaking here today to the school board.
Your thoughts, Mayor Briley, about really kind of where we are at this point, especially as so many companies are moving here. Nashville's called the IT city, but yet our adults seem to be so fractured, and our kids are in the middle. Your thoughts about where we are at this point?
I wouldn't be here today expressing these unprecedented words about our city if I weren't concerned that the fractured nature of the school board was creating a long-term consequence for our city. Now is the time for our city to come together, for the school board to find a way to work together to get more focused on the job that they have run for and been elected to do. Yes, ma'am.
You talk about promoting equity moving forward. Of course, the school board has, under the law, absolute authority to decide what happens with the director's position going forward. But does this mean that you're going to be involved in the search for a new director?
The history in Nashville for the past few directors is the mayor has played a significant role in the search for any new director. I intend to do that again, but I will go further than we have ever gone before. And in the context of this year's budget, we will seek a memorandum of understanding between the city and the school board in terms of how they are going to operate their enterprise in the coming year. And it will demand of the Board of Education that they stop violating the Open Meetings Act, that they follow their own policies, and that we get more control over the operations and finance of the school board, because I think I am committed to making sure that we have all the resources necessary for our district to thrive and for the children to have a pathway to prosperity out of each and every school here in our town. And in order for me to convince this community to build the community support necessary to get those resources at work, we need more confidence in the board and in the district itself, and that is what I'm committed to getting us to.
Mayor Briley, you've been very critical of the school board at this point. Any concerns about, because you mentioned being more involved moving forward, any concerns about seemingly picking sides in this and how that can affect your effectiveness moving forward and getting involved?
I'm picking the side of our children. I got no problem with that.
When you say last chance, what do you mean by that? I mean, you only have so much authority, but what are you talking about?
Well, I think the school board has a few weeks here to demonstrate to this community that that it has the capacity to lead $1 billion enterprise effectively on behalf of the children of this community. If they don't do it, then all options, I think, should be on the table to reorganize the way we fund and operate our school system here in Nashville. And I will not be afraid to pursue those options if that is what is necessary to take care of the children in this community.
Are you talking about a appointed school board?
All options will be on the table.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.